Hello all you chosen undead, and welcome back to the Sethington channel. Today I'm going to be painting 4 Magic the Gathering cards as different Dark Souls characters and items, creating my own never before seen and somehow more in stock Secret Lair. So for this video I'm going to be going through each card, giving a little bit of reasoning behind why each card fits its Dark Souls makeover, and I'm going to be giving you some exclusive commentary on my creative process. And by exclusive I mean me yapping over the speed paint. So without further ado, let's enter this fog wall, shall we?
You really are fond of chatting with me, aren't you? If I didn't know better, I'd think you had feelings for me.
Alright, let's start with the one and only Sunbro, Solaire. I had a few ideas for this card, most notably, well, there was no other idea, but it was Sun Titan. After looking through some of my cards, I thought Knight of the White Orchid would be a better fit. The card's ability of catch-up lands reminds me of Solaire helping me with the Bell Gargoyles, bringing his jolly cooperation and optimism in battle, or in the context of Magic, some much-needed planes to beat my opponents. In the lore of Dark Souls, Solaire is a knight who worships the sun. Maybe a little too much, but he believes the light is something you can find within yourself. Everyone has their own sun. That's what makes him such a standout and a fan favorite of mine, and I'm sure many others. He's this dorky and almost campy beacon of light in an otherwise decaying world. Solaire represents faith and optimism, and he's a rare ember of hope that players cling to. So painting him into Knight of the White Orchid. The original card already has this kind of shining paladin aesthetic, and that gallantry fits Solaire perfectly. White mana also exemplifies his role as a beacon of faith, purity, and cooperation, and I mean, I wasn't not gonna paint him. He's the best NPC summon in the game. So just as the card's effect helps you stabilize when you're losing a commander game, Solaire does the same thing narratively and gameplay wise in Dark Souls. Alright, Solaire. Let's talk composition. So for Solaire, I kind of wanted to get, when you first meet Solaire, I wanted to capture that image of Solaire, you know, before he gets all crazy on you later on in the game, depending on what path you take. And I wanted beaming sun in the background a little bit, have his nice shiny classic Solaire stuff. He's in the forefront of the image, and I had his helmet going over top of the little text box there, and I thought that was cool. I also, later on in the recording, you'll see me adding the little kneecap pauldron things that are on his like legs at the bottom, just to kind of get the sense of he's standing right in front of you, or something like that. Now this took me, I think all of them took around 6 or 7 hours. That's not a joke either. I think that's how long it took, or 8 maybe. And actually, you know what, the color matching was pretty easy for this one. I started with kind of some warm yellows and oranges like in the underpainting, as you can see, and then when I layered more desaturated colors on top of that, made the whole painting have this warmth to it that I wanted to have with Solaire. Yeah, for the lighting I really wanted to emphasize that warmth that he has as a character, and also as kind of in his design a little bit. I don't know, I also used a little bit of blue for his helmet just to kind of give some more color variation. I love his little green shoulder pad tough things. They're very funny looking. But yeah, you can see the sketch that I did first, the transfer. For all of these I start with the darks. Also, when I was doing the darks, I didn't want to start too dark, so I would have some room to add very dark parts and very highlighted part. The technique I did with all of them, because I noticed if I start way too dark, then the values kind of get messed up a little bit later down the line. So if you're doing this kind of stuff, make your darks lighter than you would normally. Don't just use pure black. I know I did that in the past a little bit. It does make your paintings look a little better if you don't start as dark, and then you can also still add those really dark parts in later. I think metallics are kind of like a strong point for me. I felt very comfortable doing the helmet. I've done lots of stuff. You can put it on screen. I've done a lot of metallics and stuff before. So like I did an Oathsworn Knight, pretty much the same helmet from Monty Python, the Holy Grail. Very similar character design, but this one was a lot smaller. I had a much smaller surface area to paint on because the image is kind of crammed in. If you look at my Oathsworn Knight, it takes up the whole card, so it was way easier to paint. But I think doing these really tiny details has made me get a lot better at painting, just like with brush control and stuff, and I'm curious to see how well that'll lend itself to miniature painting, because I do miniature painting, and I haven't really done that in a while. So, miniature painting video? Let me know. Do you want to see that? But yeah, this one was a lot of fun, as well as all of them. Make sure to stay tuned, because at the end, I'm going to be showing, like, oh, there it is. That was what it looked like.
If you need even further clarification, let the rock tell you in Chinese. Bang ding dong, his stone cold eye.
Thought Vessel was my choice for Havel's Ring, for it being an artifact and mana rock. You know, Havel is called Havel Rock, so. But mostly because of the you have no maximum hand size line. I think that works perfectly with the effect that Havel's Ring has, which increases your equipment load in the game. Both are about expanding your limits and resources. In Dark Souls lore, Havel the Rock was a bishop turned warrior who rebelled against the gods. obsessed with endurance and resistance, being a vessel of unbreakable will. This name, Thought Vessel, also fits Havel's philosophy of pure and stubborn resolve over finesse. He's a man powered by thought and faith, hardened into stone. But I will admit the Thought Vessel name connection was a bit of an afterthought. Wow, hilarious joke, past Seth from the other recording. That was really funny. I'm laughing so fucking hard right now. Holy sh. Anyways, now what should I talk about with this freaking altar? Let me get a good look at this bad boy. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think the text box choice was intentional. I chose the brown old border text box because it kind of looks like how the inventory in Dark Souls looks. Also kind of beefed up the plate that it sits on. Normally it's kind of thin, but I made the bottom a little thicker just to kind of break out of the frame a little bit more. I think that looks cool. Same principles as the other ones. Starting with the darks, working my way to the lights, and kind of for priming it, I put down like a mid-tone. That's it. You start with a mid-tone for like blocking out the area you're gonna paint on. Then you move to the darks, get all the cool shapes and like shadow details and shapes and stuff first. Do the highlights. After that, it's literally just rendering and like making sure it kind of looks like the card. I don't know how more to explain it than that. It actually took me not too long. This one didn't take me very long, just because it's not like a full character and it's not encroaching upon the borders of the cards. It's just in the actual art box itself. That was intentional, right? Like I said before, kind of making it look like it's in the actual inventory box. Everything in the game is pretty desaturated. It's a very grim game. It's very dreary and stuff, so that did make it a bit easier to do some of the color matching parts. I really wanted to make it look shiny, really get in with the whites on those like rim parts. Like the circle in the middle has these cool edge highlights and stuff. That really sells it and makes it look like a ring or fine jewelry. If I didn't do that, it would probably just look like a bunch of rocks jammed into this thing. Dude, the design on the original design is so cool. It's such a unique looking ring. It's literally just kind of looks like a bunch of rocks mashed into something. It's a little asymmetrical and I just love it. I don't think I mentioned, but I chose an artifact because, you know, it's a ring. Pretty obvious. But yeah, I think the you have no maximum hand size line is really what sold me on Thought Vessel. You would think I would go with like something like a Soul Ring or a Signet. I was also thinking about Colossus Hammer. That might have been also kind of a cool thing, but then I would probably move into like doing Havel's Dragon Tooth weapon, or maybe the Black Knight Great Axe or something like that, or the Zweihander, which are some of my favorite strength weapons. And you know, every playthrough I love choosing Havel's ring because, you know, I'm a big strength poise head and I love being a big fat beefy character. Someone commissioned me to make a wolf ring, so when you're playing Magic you can both have unlimited equip load, basically be unfazed by anything your opponents and commander throw at you. Yeah, let's see what's going on in the next one. I wonder what it could be. Ooh, I don't know. Wait, hang on, there's someone. Hello? What the fuck? Do you guys hear that? Can I? Oh, it's you. Oh, hey Bob again.
Hello.
Come in. Yeah, you want to introduce this next segment actually?
Yes, I would love to. That's why I
Oh,
barged in like this. But you know you're behind on your last gold payment, right?
Yeah, well, YouTube isn't exactly paying me yet, but...
All right. Well, I wouldn't want to turn you into a toad like my other creative partner.
All right, okay, yep.
All right, stand back.
Yeah, I
Let
wouldn't
the
want that.
master handle this. In the golden halls of Anorlando, 2 knights remain. One, a paragon of faith, and the other, a monster wrapped in gold. Together they stand as symbols for everything Dark Souls cries to us, that even the brightest flame casts a long shadow.
All right, that was actually good. I'm kind of surprised that you're...
Ornstein, the Dragon Slayer, captain of Gwyn's 4 knights, his spear could pierce a dragon's skull.
Okay, dude, yes, we get it.
Alright, well, I know when I'm not wanted.
I don't want this tab running any longer. Thanks, Bob, again.
You better get me that fucking gold, though.
Get out of my fucking office.
I'll be waiting.
Get out and close the door. Did you freeze my doorman too? God damn it. Okay, let's talk about the more elegant half of this dreadful duo. Let's talk about Dragon Slayer Ornstein. Ornstein the Dragon Slayer, captain of Gwyn's 4 knights, known for his literal lightning-fast attacks and radiant golden armor. He represents discipline and devotion, a warrior who remains loyal even as the world crumbles. When you enter Anor Londo for the first time, and you enter that boss cathedral thing, Ornstein fights alongside Smough. If you defeat one, the other absorbs his power. I personally like to kill Ornstein first to make the fight a little easier, since Smough is he's a massive slug, and you get the big funny hammer, which is a big plus. But if you're a true Fashion Souls enjoyer, you gotta kill Smough first to get that beautiful Dragon Slayer armor from Ornstein. Now, you might be wondering, why Virtus the Veiled? Now, it's not just because he's partners with a big green character, although that certainly helped. Virtus strikes me as quiet and calculating, attacking with precision and severely deadly precision at that, especially in Commander. Just like Ornstein, both characters embody this deathly elegance, and the Veiled title mirrors Ornstein's mysterious identity. I also tried to capture the vibrance and warmth that Ornstein's armor and Orlando kind of has, if you know what I'm saying. Ornstein, big Mr. Catman. You know, all the character designs in Dark Souls they're just great. I love looking at those original character design, like concept art things. Dark Souls really was a big part of becoming like an artist. A lot of the reason why I wanted to make this video, because I remember during COVID is when I started getting into art a lot more than I was before that. I guess I just started taking it more seriously, and I started learning more, doing courses and like locking in, as it were, as the old saying goes. And the game I started with was actually Dark Souls 3. It wasn't Dark Souls 1. I think I sort of digest a lot of the Dark Souls media and world through secondary sources, like through YouTube videos. There's tons of great videos on YouTube about Dark Souls and the lore. I think Miss Chalice is a good one. That's one I recommend for lore videos on Dark Souls. I'm no lore aficionado. I was just kind of looking shit up about the different characters, so keep that in mind when I'm talking about the lore of these peculiar beings. Now, like for all of them, I start with like a base layer. Once that's fully dry, I start adding underpainting, and with this painting and next painting, I used very warm colors for the underpainting, you know, trying to keep it golden and kind of warm, that whole feeling you get when you're in Orlando. It's like this very warm glow and like sunlight, and I think that's because it's relatively high up in the way that Dark Souls 1 is, like the map is. Do you know what I'm saying? I think the Dark Souls 1 map is very vertical, if that makes sense. I feel like I remember something like that. But yeah, so the background underpainting, lots of warm colors. I decided to cover relatively the same amount of area as the Solaire one to keep them kind of all relatively within the same format, I guess. Ornstein's head coming over the front text box like I did with Solaire, and like I will do with the next one, if you can guess what it is. And I was gonna have his spear go over top of the text box, but I decided to have it kind of fall back just to put his main body more in the forefront, grabs your attention more. I also decided to add his little leg pauldrons that wasn't a part of the reference image that I made. You can kind of see them a little bit underneath the 1-1 counter thing. And for this, along with pretty much all of them, I start with a relatively bigger brush, still very small, but it's like more of a wider brush, and then I go into my smallest brush, which is I don't know the exact measurement. I'll put it on screen so you guys can know exactly the brush I use. I also have a one that's slightly bigger that holds more paint, a Kalinsky Sable brush, which is like horsehair. That's a little better for getting really fine details, but I think for altars, the other one that I use is better. Also use a toothpick, underrated, like a cocktail stick, underrated tool for altars. You got to clean up those edges around the text box, and even if you're going in even further around the text itself, using a cocktail stick to make the edges smoother. I think even looking at this now, I think there's parts where I could have gone in with that a little bit more, but it's okay. Don't worry about it. Don't look there. For the palette, I use an analogous color palette. Or if you're like an art historian, the Apelles palette, I think it's called, with using only red, yellow, and black and white. That keeps your painting very warm, and it's also easier to do the values. So I thought, since the character is wearing a suit of golden armor and the only other color is red and yellow, it fits that, you know? There's not really any blue. If you're painting anything, you can mix any color if you have red, yellow, blue, and black and white. That's it. That's all you need. At least that's what I think. Some people say that mixing your paints with black and white tends to muddy them, but then I just add more of the saturated color. My opinion, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should try that out more. I also use a wet palette, which is something used for miniature painting. It's something I picked up from miniature painting, and it's essentially, you can do this with a Tupperware. You get a little layer of wet paper towel, and then you put like parchment paper over top of it. I have one that's like dedicated, and it works better like for mixing and stuff, and it makes it so your paints don't dry out. So if you tend to do a lot of sessions like I do, I tend to paint for like 2 or 3 hours and then take a break and then come back. I get to put the lid on it and I have my paint good for next time. I don't have to waste any paint. Yeah, so a lot of the inspiration for this was, first of all, just from the game, like looking at the character in the game. I really like the way that the models were made in Dark Souls 1. I think they look very interesting, and but I also wanted to kind of put in elements of the original concept art from them with kind of the more rugged style and like texture and that kind of thing, even though it still kind of does look more like the game, but whatever. Maybe it's just a symptom of me just painting it that makes it look more like the concept art. That's something I was thinking about when I was painting it. But yeah, Dark Souls came into my life at a very strange time during COVID, but it did give me a lot of time to play Dark Souls 3 in particular, and I think maybe making a Dark Souls 3 video would be cool, because there's definitely a lot of characters that I like from that game, and I'm more attached to that game, I think. During online school, I would just play Dark Souls. Probably bad for me to admit, but I did it. I still got my shit done on time, but it was mainly just no life on Dark Souls. A lot of people play it in weird points in their lives when maybe they don't have that feeling of overcoming something is something that helped me get through a very isolated point of my life. The feeling of achieving something when you beat a boss, or when you grind to get the, what is it called? The moonlight buff that you get on the sellsword twin blade things in Dark Souls 3. The Moon Covenant. That shit took me so long. Also, the PvP in that game's great. I also remember a time when, this was during COVID as well, I was playing Dark Souls and then I joined a hacked world through an NPC summon or something. I joined someone's world and it forced me to pick up like a hacked item, like a fake item or something. And then I looked online, and apparently if you don't delete your character, you would get banned if you had the invalid item in your inventory. So I ended up deleting my character. So my original character in Dark Souls 3 that I spent all that time playing on is lost, and it makes me very sad whenever I think about it. But then I made another character and I spent another 90 hours on that. So I don't know, but those, at least I'll have the memories of, you know, being in a Discord call while I should be in school. And then much later I played, well, not much later, but then later I played Dark Souls Remastered. And it's just a very different game than Dark Souls 3, but I like it a lot. I think the connected map is amazing. The way everything is, I did some weird path the first time playing it. And I remember I was trying to tell my friend what I did because he started playing it. And he's like, how the fuck did you even do that? I just went some like weird way. I think I completely skipped like Blighttown or something. I can't even remember, but it was funny. Yeah, I hope this is a painting video. I don't know, I'm waffling about the game so much, but I remember fighting Ornstein and Smough for the first time. Honestly, wasn't even that hard. You guys just suck. Everyone get in the comments and tell me how your experience fighting Ornstein and Smough. I mean, what do you mean Smough? Smough's not in this video. That's not the next card. What? Smough, the executioner of Anor Londo, infamous for his cruelty and cannibalistic habits. Yeah, cannibalism. Holy shit. Okay, anyways. I didn't know this until researching this video, but apparently in the lore, he grinds the bones of the dead into this dust seasoning thing. Honestly, not as grotesque as I was expecting from this amazing gorilla. But, you know, he's still on the cannibal spectrum, I guess. Alright, Big Daddy Smough, what is there to talk about this beautiful glutton? He's actually not fat. That's just the way his armor looks. Shut the fuck up! Shut up! God, make me sick. Just kidding. Yeah, well, he's a cool looking bloke. I love the way his beautiful golden man titties look. They're... You guys ever notice that on his helmet there's like 2 little eye socket things? Is that how he actually sees? Is it like the top helmet's not actually his head? I think that's the way it's supposed to be. I don't know. I think this one was where I really perfected the golden armor. I think Ornstein, maybe the reference for Ornstein wasn't as good because the reference I used for Smough was, it had a lot more contrast, I think, and that led me to make a better painting, but I still think they look good next to each other. I just wish that maybe I picked a different photo reference. Also, if you guys don't know, I do the sketch digitally. Well, it's not really a sketch. I just make a image composite on Krita, which is like Photoshop kind of, and I take that, print it out in a little Magic the Gathering size card, and then I do what's called a carbon transfer onto the actual card once I lay down an initial paint layer, so the carbon transfer is something to grab onto. You might think that's cheating. You might think that, oh, that's tracing, but it really just gives me a little bit of a landmark as to where different points are. Like if you do a gesture drawing, the gesture drawing is to get those bony landmarks on a human. Literally every altar artist worth their salt does that. The reason I did that is just because the main focus is to try and get it as close to the reference that I created, is to kind of maybe give the impression to someone looking at the thumbnail, holy shit, they actually did make a Dark Souls Secret Lair, you know? I'm trying to one-up Wizards of the Coast right now. I'm trying to make something that you might see in the future if they do a collaboration like that, which honestly I'm surprised they haven't yet. Dark Souls is pretty Magic adjacent if you really think about it, and it's a very big IP. I know a lot of people personally who really like Dark Souls, just because its themes and also just because it's a good game, you know. I wanted to make Smough, you know, big as hell, because that's what he is. I made his hammer literally going outside of the card frame. He's so big he doesn't even fit in the card frame. That's something I wanted to emphasize with this one. Obviously, Gorm the Great and Virtus the Veiled, the cards that they're both based on, or they're painted on, in their initial artworks, one's the smaller one, one's the bigger one. It's like the same kind of trope as Ornstein and Smough. So I thought that Gorm the Great and Virtus the Veiled were good fits. And also, you could use them in Commander. I want to make a Commander deck around these guys. I think that'd be cool. Maybe you want to see me making a deck building video. It's not totally my strong suit, but maybe I could do something where I make an Ornstein and Smough deck, and then I make a video later where I paint certain cards for it. Like a card could be Colossus Hammer, and then it could be Smough's Hammer or something like that. That might be a cool idea for the future. I don't really like the fact that he's a 2/7. I feel like his attack would be a little better than that. But you know, you work with what you have. I kind of weighed all my options. I looked at a bunch of different candidates for the Ornstein and Smough pair. Cards that could have been better and maybe are played more in Commander. I just feel personality-wise, I consulted Mr. Fat Rodney, friend of the channel, and we settled on Virtus the Veiled and Gorm the Great, and I think that was the right decision. I'm just realizing now that I actually covered up the mana cost, which might be a little confusing. Maybe I'll paint a little mana symbol on there later. What really sells the metallic armor is putting really dark areas next to really bright highlights in certain spots. It makes it look very shiny and very metallic. And that I really love the cast shadow that goes along his belly. I think that really sells the depth and rotundness of him. Same with the face and stuff like that. I think the face is one of the better parts. Like that really big dark shadow underneath his round neck goiter thing is pretty cool. I love the shadow shape there. What I did for the hammer, if you look on the right where all those like lines are, is I actually did the gradient of the lines first without worrying about making them really thin. Like I just did like the dark to light gradient, like a flat gradient, and then afterwards I took the black that was kind of watered down so I could get really thin, and then I made the lines of the black instead of making the lines of the white. That really made the white pop, because the white, it's hard to layer on in very thin lines. If you're painting really small and you're doing an area that has a lot of detail with dark and light areas that are contrasting, like there's a really dark area next to a really light area and it's really fine detail, I would say start with your lights first, do like your light gradient, think of the object like 3D, and then take your darks or like your black and add all of the details after, like on top, which is kind of reverse to how I normally do it, but every painting is unique and it's just spur of the moment, you know. Once you're an artist, you kind of get this intuition of how you're going to approach something if you do it for long enough. Not meaning to toot my own horn, because I'm not like the best. Like you start to get an artistic intuition. I'm gonna patent that. You heard it here first. So you can make certain decisions and you can break rules, or you can adhere to your own rhythm or artistic process, and then sometimes deviate from it depending on what you're trying to achieve. And that's really what makes painting so joyous for me. It's always different. You don't know what's gonna happen. And even when doing fan art, you know, like it's very therapeutic doing fan art, because it's like you're making a tribute to something that you love, and you get to apply your own artistic experience, I guess. Every piece of art that you've made has led you to the next one. I don't know know why I'm getting all philosophical on your ass, but I am. Philosophical Sethington. Because I've been watching this guy called Painting Therapy. Shouts out to Painting Therapy. This guy has been uploading Bob Ross-like YouTube videos. And I shouldn't really say Bob Ross-like, because that's kind of a disservice to him. Not to slag Bob Ross, because I do love Bob Ross, and he likes being compared to him. But he does these really good painting videos where he talks about his thoughts and feelings about what he's doing and also his life. And it's like his own therapy thing. And I like watching him when I paint. And I've been very vocal about that in his comment section, and he always replies to me, which I think is very nice. So, Thomas, if you're watching this, you a homie, you a real one. Keep on making your amazing content. He's also a very talented videographer and director. I shouldn't say talented. He's very skilled. So if you're an artist watching this and you want something to turn your brain off to, or not to turn your brain off to, something to kind of ease your mind, and it actually helps me paint better, be sure to check out his content right after you watch every single one of my videos 4 times. But yeah, seriously, go check out his channel. Maybe these paintings probably wouldn't have turned out the same if it wasn't for his commentary in the background. If you guys like the art in this video, be sure to follow me on Instagram and maybe give my Alter Sleeves a little bit of a look-see. Alter Sleeves is a print-on-demand website that makes inner sleeves for your Magic the Gathering cards that have my beautiful designs on them if you click the link in the description. Also, my Instagram's there. If you want a one-of-one painted card, be sure to DM me on Instagram and I'll give you my pricing and everything. Let's see these beautiful cards, shall we? Alright, and there they are. 4 cards, 4 echoes of Lordran. Each one a love letter to some of the most iconic and soul-crushing moments in gaming. Solaire's hope, Havel's endurance, Ornstein's devotion, and Smough's hunger, all etched into 4 little pieces of beautiful cardboard. I hope by the time this video comes out, Wizards didn't officially announce a Dark Souls set. I beat them to it! That was stupid. Where's my $4 billion? I don't know. But I expect a check by Friday, Hasbro. I got Wizards to pay. Alright guys, I hope you liked this. Make sure to get in the comments. You know, we did it! We made our own secret lair. This format, you can do so much with this format. Please let me know what kind of secret lairs do you want to see that maybe Wizards hasn't already made yet. Maybe another Dark Souls secret lair if you really like this video. Maybe something Star Wars related. Maybe something like whatever you're into. Let me know in the comments. And who knows, if it gets enough likes or gets the top comment, I might paint it. I might do a secret lair video of it. So get commenting, guys. I really appreciate all you guys coming back and watching my videos and leaving comments. Glad I got so many people watching my channel and that are fans of my art. So if you want something that's completely original to you that you don't want anyone else to have, you know, my Instagram's always open. One of one alters commission me to do some cool work for you if you have a good idea. But most importantly, I hope you guys have a good holiday season. Okay, love you, bye.